Hello friends, welcome to this video. And in this video actually this is the part of another demo. This is in continuation to the previous video where I give a quick demo about how we make just a simple call to an LLM. So what happens is that we made a call to LLM in last video and we just queried a simple question like what is agentic AI and return the answer. That's it. Now we will move next. With the help of this diagram I will try to make you understand what we are trying to do in demo. So we are actually trying to create and develop an agent, but we are doing it from very scratch and in very layman terms, like we are trying to make an LLM call manually. Then we are using these calling these tools by our agent runtime, and that is the backbone of this whole diagram. And when this tool is run, we are again returning the response to the LLM for evaluation, and then we are deciding on and observing whether we have met our goal or not, or and then we just conclude the program. So I'm just trying to give you a view that before even going to an agent, to a full-fledged agent, how we can make a simple calls to LLM, how we can just use or run our code along with LLM so that it works as a agent. It is something that is on the left side of the spectrum that we talk about in our initial videos, a basic agent or a very simple agent. So in this demo what I will try to do, I will give it a goal, like we will use our same Tokyo example. And when we prompt in, this time we will provide a search tool, we will provide it a function to calculate the weather in Tokyo. And when it returns with the function with the response is that it gives us the temperature in Tokyo, and then that response is fed back to the LLM that this is the response and how it meets with our goal. And then it observes and LLM returns back the result that okay, the result of the function is fine, it answers our question. So let's just go back and run this. I will just simply go to terminal, and in our last video we run this quick start. Let me open this. So if you remember, in our last session we did a demo and we ran this program where we just created an Anthropic client, and when we just passed a simple message. The message was what is the agentic AI, and then we just passed this message, and then we just printed the result. Now this time I have modified this program little bit. So what I have defined on the top is tools. Now this is the section which is very important, and this relates to the how we use tools in an agent, because until now we have been just calling the LLM and we have been just getting responses, but now we are going to learn how we use tools which can be used with the LLM, and that makes up the whole agent. So this is my tool definition. So this is the name of the function that I am going to call. This is the description: get the current weather of a city. Use whenever the user asks about weather or conditions. Input schema means the input to a function, how the function will take input. It will just take input as city name. It will be of string type, and this city, the parameter, is a required type. So you see, this is how we define a function, and this is the metadata. I hope you are able to relate all this with the previous videos where I explained in detail like how this metadata is made available in context window, and this metadata is available to LLM. So when we ask the question, along with question, the LLM also sees this tools description, and when they see the tools description, they know exactly which function to call to answer this question. So in this question, based on the question, it will search and find that okay, this is the function that I should call and get the result to answer this question, right? And and then the next step is that agent will call this function. But the thing is that it will actually not be the agent that will call the function, it is actually the agent runtime. So the code that we write, we actually make a call to function based on the recommendations of the LLM. So LLM just decides that this is the function that needs to be called, but That's the difference. We are actually calling the difference. So sometimes, what happens is that we ask questions to the on the chat gpt and cloud A, and we get a answer like it searches in real time, maybe flight results, and give us the answer. It is invisible to us. We think that okay, LLM is directly calling, but behind the scenes what's happening is that it is the agent code or runtime that is actually calling it, whereas LLM is just making decision which tool is most appropriate to call this. So what I will do, you can see that tool definition is there, right? Get weather, but I have not defined get weather yet, and I am not even calling it. What I am doing is I am just passing the function definitions or metadata of the functions into my request, that is tools. And this gives model a metadata that this is the function available with us. So when we run this, when we call this to LLM will tell us that I will stop here because I want you now to call this and give me the result of this function. But this function is not there yet, so it will stop, right? Let's just run it and see what happens. So you see in the first line, stop reason is tool use. Now it says that stop this function because we need to use the tool. Now the text block, text, I will check the current weather in Tokyo for you. So this is something that is evaluated by LLM, that it will check the weather in Tokyo, but how it will check? It will use the tool. So in the next line we have printed what tool it is recommending to use. So tool use block. So it is blocked on a tool use. It is waiting for a response from this tool, and this is something that it generated like a tool ID, direct caller, metadata. The input it has decided based on the metadata it has prepared that the input would be city Tokyo, and name of the function would be get weather. So this is how it actually decides like which function to call. It also tells us like what will be passed as an input to that function. Now I have prepared another Python script where I'm actually calling this function based on the recommendations from the LLM. Now let's see what that function is. Let me go to demo2.py, and I will just provide all the description link in the description to my GitHub repo where you will find all this code. You can just generate an API key and just play with it. So let me open this. Now just simple, like we have created a client, we have provided a model, like what model we are going to use, and now this time I'm actually defining the function, you see. So get weather function definition I have added, but the thing is that at this point I am just faking the response. I am just returning that if I get the input as Tokyo, then return the response as rain 14 degrees Celsius, and if someone asks for the weather in Paris, then respond it with sunny 22 degrees Celsius. So that's just a function, but you can write an actual code into it. The tool definition same as before, like we saw in the previous script, get weather, and it's exactly same. Now let's come to the calling part. So it is again calling the first message, what is the weather response in Tokyo, what is the weather in Tokyo. Now it will make the first model call. It will ask for the tool. Now when it makes a call, it tells the same thing, the stop reason, stop because you need to first call the tool. We have decided to call the tool. Now what I will do, we will just append this response into the messages, record the model's turn. Now its tools request is now part of conversation. It's important that we make the response the part of the conversation. So and then we will use this later. Now find the tool and run the real function. So this is the runtime. This is the change that I have made, that I am actually calling the function now. So what I am doing is just I am iterating the response and trying to print what function I will be calling, name of the function and input parameter, and then I am just directly calling this function. We run it. Remember that model will not run it. Actually model LLM will not make a direct call to it. It is the agent runtime that is making call. So we call this function, and now in the result, if we pass Tokyo as an input, then we will get the result as rainy 14 degrees Celsius. We'll just print the result. Then we will just append this result into the messages. So messages is something that is built here. Now in the messages, second time we appended the response that it should use the tool, and now we are appending the third time into the messages that we should use that the result of the tool, right? This is the response, and now we are again making a final call to the LLM with everything. So this message has a recommendation that we should use the tool. It has a response that we got from using the tool, that is get weather function. And now with all this complete message, we are again calling the LLM, and now LLM should respond with our final answer, like what is the weather, or and if any other recommendation with it. Let's just run it and see how it works. And so you see, it decided to stop because it responded with tool use. Now we acted by calling the function that is get weather, right? It's the agent runtime, our backend code. Now we observed the result, like this function returned rain 14 degrees Celsius, and then we passed this result from our tool to the LLM again, final call. Now it responds back final, and this is the final response from LLM, that right now in Tokyo it is rainy with temperature 14 degrees Celsius. You might want to grab an umbrella if you are heading out. So this is purely response from LLM. It decided this response, it recommended the umbrella based on the rain warning that we passed, that we have received from the tool. So I hope you are able to get how we are using tools now. So congratulations, you have found out like how you use tool with the agent. And now we will just move one step further. Let me just walk you through a little more complex version of this method, where I will be just using another method. I will be using two tools instead of one. So let's just go to demo 3. So again, same client I have created. I have defined in this the safety limit now, like how much steps it can take, right? Earlier there was no guardrail. Now there is a guardrail. Now the model, again get weather, same function. Now I have defined another function, and this function is calculator. So for demo only, what I am doing is I am just calculating the how much is the this I'm just converting the input, like the 22 degrees Celsius into Fahrenheit, for demo purpose only. Now this is just the tool that has the function name. So what happens is that in the earlier I called the function names by hard coding the function name, but in this example what I will be doing, I will be getting the exact function names from the LLM, and then I will be just calling them in loop, in generic manner, like whatever I get response. Because you understand that in real time will not actually hard code the function call. So function call will be dynamic. So again, go to the tools section. In tools section, if you see, earlier there was just a weather metadata, like what is the weather function will do, and now I have another metadata, that is calculator. And this calculator is basically telling evaluate a basic arithmetic expression, and what it is doing, it is just converting degree Celsius into Fahrenheit. So now not only it is giving weather, it is also giving the weather in the Fahrenheit. Now there is another function, that is run tool. So what run tool does is, run tool will just get the name of the tool as an argument, and it will just call that function. So we will call this function later with all the recommendations from LLM, and it will just invoke these two functions, that is the calculator and get weather. Now let's come to the main section where we are actually making call. So this time this will be our content. What is the temperature in Tokyo in Fahrenheit? Get the weather, then convert the number to Fahrenheit. So you understand, we have complicated the goal a little bit more. So this time not only we are asking for weather temperature, we are also asking it to convert to Fahrenheit. So from the description or the goal only, you can make sense that it will just utilize the two functions, right? Based on the metadata that we pass, it will just now try to suggest these two functions. Now We have for step in range, what we are doing is that we are just calling the, like, for the maximum steps we are looping in, not more than that. And based on this, we will just pass this message will be passed. Again, the same thing will happen. It will just responds us with the stop condition that tool needs to be used. And what we are doing is we are just printing what tool it is telling us to use, right? And then if the tool use is something that if the stop reason is something other than tool use, maybe there is some error, then it will just break the loop, right? Otherwise, just call every tool. So otherwise, run every tool, the model asked for this return, right? So it is just exact copy of previous demo, previous script, but in this case we will get recommendations that use two tools instead of one. One is the Tokyo weather and another is the calculator. So this is the loop. This is just a simple Python. We are just trying to call the function, and we are just passing the recommendations, that is block name and input. So name of the function and input parameter. So it will just call and it will just append the results from each function call into the tool results. And what we are doing finally, we are just appending this tool results and making a final call to the LLM with all the sections. We are saying that these are the results from the two functions. Let me just quickly now run this program and see how it works. Oh, so my bad. Great. So you see in the step one, it called the get weather. It observed rain, that is the response. Then it called another function, that is calculator. It converted the response, that is 14 degree to Fahrenheit, and then it passed all these to LLM and received the final answer. The current weather in Tokyo is this, which converts to this much Fahrenheit. Now there is another thing I want to show. Let's just ask the in the second demo, let's just change the question from Tokyo to Paris. Let me go back to the demo 2, right? And in demo 2, what I in my description, in my initial description, let me just change the city name, like in my user prompt. So this is the user prompt that is initially typed by the user, and instead of Tokyo, let me use Paris and see how it works. So this time it received sunny weather, and now it is saying that right now in Paris it's a sunny temperature with 22 degrees Celsius, a pleasant day. Now it is not recommending you to carry the umbrella. So this is something that LLM is evaluating and responding back. It is not responding with the umbrella suggestion this time. So I think you have got enough of the exposure to how the agent will work for simple calls when we can use simple tools with it. Now you have moved further deep into like how you use tools and make it a agent. This is actually an agent that is working together with LLM to solve a goal. Okay, thanks. See you in the next video.